All resistance training is not strength training. Now, the term strength training is used for all aspects of resistance training, no matter what kind of adaptation a person is trying to bring about. But strength is a very specific adaptation, and it happens only when you train specifically for it. But before we go into what strength training is, let's discuss what an adaptation is and what kind of adaptations you can actually bring about in your body. And before we do that, please subscribe. It's great help. Now, there are 5 major physiological adaptations that can occur in the body. One is strength, which is force production. One is power, which is rapid force production. Then there's hypertrophy, which is the growth of muscle cells. Then there's muscular endurance, which is the work capacity of your skeletal system. And then there is cardiovascular endurance, which is work capacity of your circulatory and respiratory system. Multiple smaller processes are involved, which are hormonal, neuromuscular, cellular, etc. But the changes and adaptations that occur in these smaller processes cumulatively give us the 5 major adaptations that can occur because of training. Now, as I said, strength, like the other 4 adaptations, is a specific adaptation and requires specific conditions to be met. This is the SAID principle. It's called specific adaptation to impose demands. Basically, it means what you get is what you have trained for. So if you train for strength, you get strength. If you train for muscular endurance, you get muscular endurance. Training for muscular endurance does not bring about strength adaptations. So you need to impose the specific demands of strength on your body so that you can get stronger and actually bring about an adaptation of strength. Now, what are those specific conditions? Let's look at what strength is to understand that. Strength is the ability to produce force against an external resistance. The more force you can produce, the stronger you are. In training terms, it means the more load you can move, the stronger you are. This is usually expressed in training terms as a 1 repetition maximum or a percentage of 1 repetition maximum, where 1 repetition maximum is the maximum amount of weight you can lift for a single repetition. So the maximum amount of force you can produce. After that, the body is too fatigued to actually produce more force. So a person who can lift 100 kgs as a 1 RM is stronger than the person who can lift 60, 70, 80 or even 99 kgs as 1 RM. Now, if strength is best expressed as the maximal force production against a resistance, which is the 1 RM or a percentage of 1 RM, that means the adaptation for strength will be at heavier loads, will be at higher intensity. And since the adaptation will occur at a higher intensity, the number of repetitions that you will be able to do will be lower. So strength is performed at higher intensity and lower repetitions. Now, because we want more force production to occur, we need more amount of muscle mass to be able to produce that force. And that's why strength training will use compound movements, which use multiple muscle groups over multiple joints. And these are the specific conditions that you have to meet for you to get stronger. Now that we have the conditions, let's quantify them. First, because strength is the ability to produce force against an external resistance, for you to get stronger, you have to try and produce more and more force over time. So that means the most important variable that you will actually manipulate in strength training is going to be the load that you are training for that exercise. So for you to get stronger and stronger, you need to progressively increase the load that you are lifting. Second, because the load is high, we are going to work at very low repetition ranges. Now, strength gains best happen in the 1 to 6 repetition range. All the repetitions in this range can be used. It will probably benefit you to cycle through these repetition ranges. This is because when you train at very low repetition ranges and the intensity is very high, there is systemic fatigue that sets in, and too much of that systemic fatigue cumulative over a period of time will lead to detraining or even overtraining, which is the reduction of performance while you continue to train. Third, because we have established that we need to use compound movements which use a lot of muscle groups over multiple joints, the basic human movement patterns are probably the best bet that you have in terms of exercise selection. These are the squat, the deadlift, the overhead press, the bench press, the rows and chin-ups. Now the question is, what equipment do we use to train these movements? Since these are basic human movement patterns, machines will probably not help build overall strength. Machines are majorly used to isolate certain muscle groups so that you can build strength in those isolated muscle groups. For you to get your body stronger as a system, you should probably use free weights. Now, using free weights, which ones will actually help us bring about the conditions that we need to gain strength? First is we need to be able to use heavier and heavier loads. Now let's look at dumbbells. Dumbbells can range from 2.5 kgs or even 1 kg to about whatever kg the dumbbell is made of. But at some point, the heavier the dumbbell gets, it becomes more and more difficult to handle it. It will always be limited by the strength of you being able to hold the dumbbell, which is usually in your hands. So the next best option we have is the barbell. The barbell uses racks to place them appropriately for exercises like the squat, the overhead press, the bench press. The barbell can be loaded with as little as 500 gram plates to as heavy as multiple 25 kg plates. And the barbell can be made to whatever weight you want it to be. You can see in certain gyms you have 10 kg, 15 kg, 20 kg barbells. You have a 7 kg barbell even. Although it's a smaller barbell, but it's still a barbell and you can use it the way the bigger barbells can be used. So the barbell is your best choice to get stronger. Now it's not like you have to use barbells only. Depending on where your strength is now, you can start with dumbbells as light as 1 kg as I said, and slowly progress with weight heavier and heavier until you reach the barbell, and now you're able to progress with plates over there. But in terms of training for pure strength, I would want you to reach a point where you can do all the basic human movements with a barbell. So here is the blueprint for strength training. You need 6 exercises: the squat, the deadlift, the overhead press, the bench press, the barbell rows, and the chin-ups. You need to work at heavier and heavier loads. You need to work in repetition ranges of 1 to 6 repetitions, obviously cycling between those repetition ranges, not training at one range for a very long time. And you need to get to a point where you can use barbells and then keep progressively overloading it week after week, session after session. Please drop a like if you liked the video and subscribe to the channel for more such videos to come.